First of all, thank you for saying that you perceive me as an advocate and an ally of those who are fighting gender equality issues. I feel that myself, but I'm glad to hear that it's perceived that way, so thank you. The reason I think it's a priority is because it is. Gender-based violence is, it's an attitudinal crime or a perception that lingers in society that basically it's a crime against society is what it is. Half of, or often more than half of society is being treated less, as less committed, as less valued, as less important. And when it crosses the line, and it does cross the line into violence of all forms, as Professor Spajic was talking about, things that don't show physical marks on your body, but rather are as aggressively nasty in their violence. Things like public violence through social media. These are things that are destroying societies. And that, Maria, is fundamentally why we care and consider this an issue of human rights and an issue of dignity. And let me say, since this is a panel on international experience, I'm going to take about 3 minutes and talk about U.S. versus Montenegrin perspectives, knowing that you have a big panel here. You know, this is a problem still in the United States. Let me not minimize it. And sometimes it helps to know you're not alone. And I'm so glad your expert from Croatia also talked about the Croatian experience. And I think some of my colleagues, including my colleague from Germany, will help you realize this still is a global issue, not just a Montenegrin issue. I'm going to give you a scary statistic that there are 24 cases of gender-based violence per minute in the United States. Now, the United States is, I think, close to 350 million people, so obviously the scale is very different, but the clock is ticking on violence. Now, of course, I'm not talking here about the actual femicides, but anything from stalking to date rape to domestic violence of other sorts. Those things are happening every minute in my country, and I care about that. And I know they're happening here, and I care about that too. 29% of women in the United States say they have been the victim of some form of gender-based violence. 29%. I don't know what the number is here. I missed some of the early statistics. I know, Katja, this has been a set of panels that have raised lots of statistics, but that's still a large number, and that's not domestic violence, that's broadly speaking, but 29% of American women have been exposed. So first and foremost, I know it's an issue in my country. I know it's an issue in this country where I have the honor to represent the United States. So the bilateral relationship, if I want to have a better, more productive relationship with Montenegro, and I do, I want it to be with 100% of the citizens of Montenegro and not just the men. And I don't want to be an advocate of just women. I want this to be a society that my country works with because everyone is fully valued and fully empowered to contribute to the betterment of our relationship and of the societies. So it matters because I don't want to deal with just half of a society. I want to deal, as the United States, with the whole society. And I won't talk about the things that last panel just left me chilled. There's so many issues and so many urgent priorities, as the panel pointed out. But the point is that there are urgent priorities in both of our countries. So let me kind of conclude my first intervention by saying I am proud that the United States has been working for decades now on gender-based violence. We have, 30 years ago, passed the Violence Against Women Act, VAWA. The Violence Against Women Act really transformed the effort to raise awareness and fight the prejudices and the cultural ingrained paternalism that you're still fighting. 30 years. 30 years is more than a generation. It's a generation, but it's even more than a generation. You do have, you've got to recognize some of this is going to take time. Now, unfortunately, for every single victim, there is no time. The moment is then. So I would say you've got to address this in less than half a generation. In the next 15, 10 years, you've really got to change the attitudes, and my country will really want to work with you on changing attitudes however we can, because it can change. Even though I gave you some scary numbers up front, let me tell you some more positive numbers in the 30 years since 1993 when VAWA was passed. I actually need to look at the cheat sheet on this one, but I know this to be a fact that we've had progress. We have seen there it is. We have seen the rates of domestic violence drop by 67%, the reported rates, and I think they're actually more reported now than they had been. That is a meaningful decline in this kind of criminality. And at the same time, the rate of rapes and sexual assaults, which are also better reported, have also declined by 56%. So I just want to give you a sense that a law that focuses attention on the raising awareness and the improving protections can make a difference. And I think that's where I should stop my first intervention. But maybe I'll conclude by reminding, for the United States at least, this is October still, so I can say this is Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. That's the full name of that official recognition. And we do things like that because we're constantly reminding our population that this is an issue that still is not fully tackled.